You know what, Ben? I'm going to take Alabama.
The way Miami has played this season, I don't think they're going to be able to beat Ohio State. Wow, so those takes did not age very well. We have a lot to recap there, but Pat, it's good to be back with you. Can't wait for another episode this week.
Hey, bud. Oh, my goodness. I'm half embarrassed. And you just played a couple snippets there. I'm just so embarrassed on a number of takes that we had, not only the ones you just showed.
Yeah, no, exactly. But before we dive into it, a quick word from our sponsor here. Today's episode is brought to you by Solid as a Rock Storage. Looking for secure, dependable storage in the Sioux Empire? Choose Solid as a Rock Storage. Strong, reliable, and easy to access. Located on 271st Street, just off the T exit of I-29, Solid as a Rock Storage offers 4 convenient sizes to fit your needs. Whether you're storing household items, business equipment, or seasonal vehicles, you'll find space that works right where you need it. Call today to reserve your unit at 605-338-9267. That's Solid as a Rock Storage in the Sioux Empire. Storage you can count on. All right, now with the show, obviously we have to get started with Pat's jersey. What do we have today, Pat?
Hey, bud. As I spoke about a few weeks ago when I was wearing the John Starks jersey, if I went back in time and showed myself from the mid-'80s that I was wearing this jersey, I would be very, very upset with myself.
Yeah.
We got an awesome Detroit Pistons Bill Laimbeer shirt. Just like always that I've been talking about, something that I didn't like when I was young now has aged well in my head. And I have grown to appreciate those Detroit Pistons teams of the 80s, the bad boys. They were a great team. So let me tell you a little bit about Bill Laimbeer, and then we'll talk just real quick about that team. So he played for Notre Dame from 75 to 79, was drafted in 79 by the Cleveland Cavaliers, and actually played that first year professionally over in Italy.
Oh, wow.
Then he came back and he played for the Cavs from 80 to 82, then was traded over to the Pistons and played 82 to 93 for the Pistons, and then retired as a Piston. During that time that he was there, that was the bad boys era. So that was when, you had, obviously in the 80s, you had the Lakers and the Celtics battling back and forth. But then as the Celtics started to age in those later 80s, that's when the bad boy Pistons started to come in.
Yeah.
Now, at the end of the Pistons' reign there in the early 90s is when Jordan started coming in to Chicago, and then Chicago making their run. Some epic Eastern Conference finals between Pistons and Celtics in those 80s years, and then Pistons and Bulls in those early 90s years that, like you and I have talked about when we talk about our generational differences, you put how hard those guys played back then, I'm talking physically, and just, I mean, when the Pistons were trying to beat the Jordan Bulls in those Eastern Conference battles and then in the Eastern Conference finals all the time,
Yeah.
they actually put in a thing called the Jordan rules. And it was basically anytime he came near the rim, you put him on the ground. And I mean, it was brutal.
Yeah.
But let me tell you a little bit about Bill Laimbeer in his playing days. They were the back-to-back NBA champions in 89 and 90. They beat the Lakers in 89, sweep 4-0. The Lakers had beat them in the 88 finals in a game 7, 4-3. Lakers had won. They turned around and sweep the Lakers in 89. Then they beat the Trailblazers in 90, 4-1. So they had a great little run in there.
Yep.
Bill Laimbeer himself was a 4-time All-Star in 83, 84, 85, and then 87. And ironically enough, the year he didn't make the All-Star game, he was the NBA rebound leader.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. What a lot of people don't know is that Bill Laimbeer had a heck of a WNBA coaching career following his playing days. So he was the Detroit Shock WNBA coach from '02 to '09, and they were a three-time WNBA champion during those
Wow.
years that he was there. Then he actually switched over from '09 to '11 to the Timberwolves, and then in 13 to 17, he coached the New York Liberty, and then 18 to 21, he was actually the Las Vegas Aces coach.
Wow. The more you know.
I know.
I
And he
always,
was the two-time WNBA coach of the year in '03 and '15.
I did know he was a WNBA coach. I just didn't realize how successful he was at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Kind of
that's really
interesting.
cool.
So Ben, I hated him as a player. I
Yeah.
hated those Pistons. Isaiah, Joe Dumars. Joe Dumars was the only quiet one of the bunch, and so I really liked him.
I was going to say, he's my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was so good and so smooth. And, I was a big Celtics fan, and so that they just battled, and these Pistons were so loud and obnoxious. It was just so brutal. And you had Vinnie Johnson and, the microwave Vinnie Johnson and Mark Aguirre and, oh, God, all those guys. I just hit John Sally and just
Rick Mahorn.
Rick Mahorn. God.
Yep.
And he and Laimbeer and Sally were just the hammers. I mean, if anyone came near the rim, I mean, there's a famous play between in the Eastern Conference Finals. I forget what year, and Larry Bird went towards the rim, and Laimbeer just grabs his arms and throws him down flat on his back, and then of course there's a melee and all that business. But they were fun basketball times to watch. I mean, but like I said, they just absolutely beat the heck out of each other. So there you go.
That Bad Boys 30 for 30 is probably in my top 3 30 for 30s of all time.
Yeah.
That one's awesome. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's really good.
That's a great point, Ben. I mean, it's something like I've said, when we're talking about generations, and as you get older, you look back, and this happens in life, you learn to appreciate stuff that you didn't appreciate as much when it was actually going on, and this happens in life.
Yeah.
And so that happens to be one of those teams. It's funny, I remember watching the NBA Finals. I was at a Notre Dame basketball camp in high school. I'd gone with a friend of mine, and we had gone to the Notre Dame basketball camp, and they wheeled in a TV, and we all watched from the stands of the Notre Dame stadium, and on a little tube TV that they had on a cart that they wheeled in, and we watched that finals when Detroit beat the Lakers in a sweep. I mean, there just wasn't even a matchup. I mean, the Lakers were old. The Pistons just beat the heck out of them.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. Time.
So there we go.
Yep. Time for some college football here. Doing a little recap of each game. So we'll start it out with the first big upset. Miami beats Ohio State, who, even though they were the 2 seed, I would say they were still the favorite to win the entire thing. Watching that game, man, Miami's pass rush, the way they got to Sayin that entire game.
Yeah.
He never had a clean pocket.
No. I remember commenting to you, because I'll be honest, Ben, that was really the first essentially full Miami game that I had really watched all season. I just never really came across a Miami game that I watched, and you and I were watching that the other day, and I commented to you, I'm like, holy cow, I had no idea their pass rush was this good, and then their running back, Mark Fletcher, Ben, holy moly. I mean, he was masterful.
The one thing I noticed was, I think a big game changer for Miami was the play calling. I truly think Ryan Day got outcoached, because As we know, Brian Hartline left for USF, and so Ryan Day takes over the play calling duties. And he stuck with the game plan that he's been doing all year, which is send Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate deep down the field and let Say and launch it to him. Well, when you're going against probably the best pass rush you've seen all year, because we talked about earlier how Ohio State hasn't played a ton of great teams, that's not going to work. You're not going to get a clean pocket for 3 seconds to let those guys get down there. And on the other side of the ball, Ohio State does have a good pass rush. They, similar to Miami, they have multiple guys that are going to go in the first round here. But Miami adjusted for that. It was a lot of Mark Fletcher run plays and little chunk plays. It was never anything crazy. And then really good screen passes where same thing, just creating good chunk plays. Watching the whole game, Miami barely had any like big time deep passes. They just kept moving on these little chunk plays, and the Ohio State pass rushers just never had a chance to get to Carson Beck.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head, Ben, right there. And you said it last week, too, where if Miami adjusted and was prepared for Ohio State's defense, and their defense has been so strong all year. I mean, they're beasts. And they had a game plan that was ready for it, adjusted accordingly. And then your other thing that you said, and I don't remember if you said it actually on the show or if you said it to me when we were just talking, but you said, Carson Beck in the past has gotten into trouble when he's thrown a couple interceptions, can either start to press and or get down on himself, which can then multiply the mistakes. And to his credit, that never happened. He stayed with he went through his progressions and dumped it off when he had to dump it off. And sometimes it was right over the top of the line. Sometimes it was a screen, whatever. But either way, he did a good job of keeping control of the ball.
Yeah, and I feel like Mario Cristobal just never put him in that situation either. He did a great job play calling and made the passes easy and just created little chunk plays. Miami kept moving. I will say, though, the big game changer was that pick six at the end of the first half to put them up 14-0. The way that cornerback read that like a book.
It was awesome.
When you and I watched the slow motion of that, you said it, like the second Sayan turned to the left, he just took off.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
It was so cool. And it was really impressive. Kind of fun watching, the replay when you know what's going to happen. And then you watch how soon he realized what the play was. I mean, that was one of the best defensive plays I've seen this season where, like you said, he came back with the ball, arm back, boom, he went right off. He was on that other receiver, if you watch that.
Yep.
And he was, when he caught that ball, he was almost at full speed already.
Oh, yeah, he took off.
It was so cool. And I hate Miami.
Yeah.
I'm a again, talking about my old days of growing up. I mean, the old Catholics versus convicts of the 80s. Yeah. Those T-shirts were the best, by the way. If I could drum up one of those T-shirts. By the way, side note, 30 for 30. There's a whole 30 for 30 on that rivalry and on the kid that made the T-shirts back in the day.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, but it was fun to watch. As you and I talked about, I will say the one thing that's kind of fun for me personally watching these playoffs is I don't have a dog in the fight. In fact, I probably dislike the teams that are in there as a fan more than like any of them, which makes it very relaxing to watch and enjoyable. My anxiety isn't up. So then I'm just hoping for a close game and or exciting stuff, and I think that's what we got, except for Oregon, Texas Tech. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and we'll get to that game. But, at this point, if I had to pick a dog in the fight, it's probably Ole Miss. They're a good team, but it's almost like a Cinderella story just with Lane leaving. And, Trinidad Chambliss was a D2 quarterback who started the year as a backup. And look at him now playing like, most of the season he's played like a top 10, top 5 quarterback in all of college football. I just think they're a cool story. Their players are cool. The way the coaches are stepping up. Charlie Weiss Jr. is coming back for the semifinal game. There were some question marks around that. So they're my dog in the fight for the rest of this thing. But like you said before, I just want good games.
Well, and we'll go through each game here real quick. I mean, and since you're on Ole Miss, I mean that Ole Miss Georgia ending was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean that was really really weird.
No.
But for them to stick it to Georgia, I mean,
Yeah.
that was a great game.
Well, and it was a fun offensive battle because, I mean, Georgia's offense in the first half more than the second, but Gunnar Stockton played really well. He impressed the heck out of me. Those 2 passes he had where he took those massive shots, but still completed both passes, got right back up. He had 2 rushing touchdowns on the play. One of them was a great little move. Fake handoff, fake pass, and then followed where the running back was supposed to go. It was awesome.
Well, he must be been one heck of a tough kid, because if you remember in one of the playoff games last year, and I don't remember if it was the championship game or one of the semifinal games where he replaced. So Carson Beck got hurt.
Yeah.
And he came in, and they were driving, and he took a shot down at the goal line that, I mean, it was right on his head. It was a brutal hit.
Yeah.
And bounced back up and finished the game. Fast forward to this game, like you said, I mean, brutal hits. There was one of the hardest hits I've seen in recent memory. That, I mean, he literally flew through the air and landed hard.
His feet were above his head. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was insane. But, I mean, even though Georgia lost, he's a junior. I haven't seen his name much in the draft, so assuming he comes back to Georgia next year, Georgia's going to be a team to watch out for big time.
Kirby Smart is a heck of a coach, and he's an even better recruiter. And
absolutely.
we'll get to it, but I don't even know if being a good recruiter matters anymore.
No.
Beside the point.
Yeah. Next game. So this, and I will say I called that Ole Miss game in our last episode for our underdogs. Not to toot my own horn, but
But toot.
yeah. Next game, Indiana beats Alabama. This was your pick to be the upset, and that didn't go too well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I loved the comment from somebody that didn't age well. And as you said at the beginning, same thing. Yeah, that was my pick. And it started off the same way as the playoff game the week before, where Alabama was down to Oklahoma at halftime, and I'm like, oh, this has the same thing written all over it. That's going to make it that much sweeter, and that did not happen.
I will say, just watching Indiana against this Alabama thing, I didn't know if Alabama was going to win, but I was kind of on board with you when you said, like, after that big comeback against Oklahoma in the first round, they might have this kind of fire in them and maybe be able to put a fight up against Indiana. After watching Indiana, their roster was just too good. I mean, Indiana's by far the most complete team left, both sides of the ball. They just get it done everywhere.
Let me ask you a question. So Ty Simpson goes down partway through the second half, and they brought in their, I don't know if he's a freshman, redshirt freshman, whatever.
Yeah.
He's only had a couple snaps. Bring him in. What'd you think of him? Give me your opinion. I forget. Is it Mac? Is that his last name?
I think so, yeah. He's like the 6'6" kid. You know what? You come into the second half of a game that he probably got a couple throws in on the sideline, but let's call it essentially cold. He had a couple good runs, a couple good throws. I mean, I think there's something there, and you never know what Ty Simpson's going to do next year, whether it's draft, return, or I've maybe even been seeing his name as a possible transfer because the end of his season didn't really go well compared to the beginning of the season when he was a Heisman candidate. So,
Right.
and we know how ruthless those Alabama fans are.
Oh boy.
I, there is a legitimate shot he comes back to college but transfers elsewhere.
Wow, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
That'd be
I,
crazy. What I will say, at first when we were watching the game, I
mm-hmm.
don't. I kind of got the feeling they didn't know if Simpson was hurt or not.
Yeah.
He took that shot
Mm-hmm.
where he fumbled it. He was kind of hit and was kind of flying forward and then got hit right in the back.
Yeah.
It was a pretty brutal hit. My back would have been broken in half. But
Oh.
anyway, so it's I forget exactly when that happened. Let's just say it's in the latter half of the third quarter,
Mm-hmm.
and then in comes Matt, and he didn't go out right away after that shot.
Yeah.
He I think he came back in and maybe played a few plays or whatever. Matt comes in, and it had shades of back when Nick Saban pulled Jalen Hurts at the halftime of the national championship game against Georgia and brought in Tua, and
Mm-hmm.
Tua ends up bringing Alabama all the way back and hits that famous deep. That was about a 40 or 50-yard bomb to
Devontae
Devontae
Smith.
Smith.
Yep.
Yeah. And they end up winning the game. I'm like, oh, we could have another replay of that, which would have been kind of cool, even though I don't care for Alabama, but whatever.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, I would not want to be the amount of pressure that DeBoer has to be feeling down there just has to be brutal.
And we talked about last game. We're like, all right, this win versus Oklahoma probably saved his job here. He's good. Well, I mean, the fact that you just get absolutely reamed here like this by Indiana, I mean, that's what you call a killing. They
Yeah.
just got destroyed.
Yep. It wasn't even a game.
No.
And the by the end of the by the second half of the game, everything had started to dry out. It hadn't rained for a long time, but boy, the weather was awful in the first part of the day. It
Yeah.
had been awful actually for the whole week leading up to that game. But there's some famous videos out there on Instagram and TikTok and whatnot of the game day crew sitting there trying to do their show that morning. Herb Street's he did like 5 costume changes with wearing a towel on his head to different coats over himself, and yeah, you've got McAfee sitting in the middle making fun of Herb Street. Herb Street saying the rain's blowing in against me and none of you guys. I mean, it was just chaos.
Yeah.
By the by the game, it had really kind of tapered off, and then by the second half, it was gone. So you could easily air the ball out, and there just wasn't any of that from Alabama at all.
No, and like you said, you could air the ball out, and Mendoza did that. So, yeah, it wasn't a weather issue at that point. That was purely just Alabama not playing well on offense, and Indiana's defense does not get enough credit because their offense is so good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And their defense is stout.
Yeah, but the pass rush, I mean, they were getting to Simpson as well
Yeah.
as their secondary. I mean, Alabama has a good receiving core. We've talked about that before, but
Yep.
they had them pretty locked up.
Yep.
And then the last game here, we have Texas Tech and Oregon. And man, I would hate to be a Texas Tech defender because you could not have played a better game against a really good Oregon offense. But the fact that the Texas Tech offense was just, they came to the game asleep.
Yeah, they didn't get off the bus.
They threw interception. I mean, Morton had, 40 passing yards in the first half, something like that. Throws an interception. You have your running back fumbling, and then you have your kicker missing field goals. If he would have made his field goal in the first half, you're 6-3 going into the second half, but no. And then you have Morton fumbling and Ugalele or whatever his name is, getting the ball down to the 5-yard line to set him up for a touchdown.
Totally.
I mean, so that one's not on the defense either. Their defense could not have played a better game. They were making it a tough time for Dante Moore, who's the second best quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, that was just brutal to watch.
Well, and we were watching a show. You and I were watching a show the other day uh, a sports commentary show on online, and they were talking about the impact that this will have on the Big 12 and how much that hurts. And it was interesting, these guys that were saying it, and it was a thought that I never even really thought of. But when the committee is sitting there looking at teams by conference, and they chose, you got the Big 12, champ in there, and they just get absolutely manhandled, and you were already nervous about the Big 12 and their strength to begin with.
Yep.
That did not do favors for the Big 12 anyway, that's for sure.
No.
And then side note on the portal that we're getting into, you've got a number of quarterbacks leaving Big 12 schools in the portal. I mean, it's not great.
Well, yeah, and after watching that game, when I was looking through like a preview for the quarterfinals, and it had a bunch of important stats to look at in there, it showed that of all the quarterfinal QBs, Morton for Texas Tech was the worst of all eight in a lot of different statistics. And man, that really showed this game, and it also makes sense why Texas Tech spent a ton of money to bring in Sorsby a day later for next
100%.
season.
Yeah, you
can't
hit the
blame them.
nail
Yeah.
on. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's interesting. You had 3 of the 4 teams that had buys lose. 2 of them lose huge.
Yep.
Yeah. I guess. Alabama lost huge, but anyway, it was.
So,
It wasn't great. That's a bad look, I think, all around. To have 3 of the 4 bye teams lose.
yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things where it's you got 2 different sides to the coin. You can look at it as, you get a bye, and everyone in a football season, everyone at this point in the year is a little banged up, even if you're considered healthy or not. But then you
Right.
look at the other side of the coin, and yeah, you're not playing for a week. You're probably losing a little momentum when the first quarter, the first game you're back. It's going to take you a minute to get warmed up, and that could be the deciding factor. It sure was for Ohio State going down 14-0.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, it's tough. Tough
and
look.
And you said before, we've seen it in the NFL too, looking at the Detroit Lions last year, got the 1 seed, get the week off, and then lose to the Commanders in the next round.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's not just college football.
Well, and that was a fun banter that you and I had back and forth, talking about regardless of sport, and we were taking playoffs for, say, baseball, basketball, and hockey, where you have series, and in the situation where you have a sweep on one side of a bracket, and then their next opponent in their bracket down below play a 7-game series. So you could end up potentially being a week to a week and a half after a sweep before you get back on the court, ice, or field. And do you like that or not? Obviously, in that situation, there's nothing you can do about it. With a bye in football, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean,
Yeah.
You get the bye. So I think as a coach, that is a very slippery slope where your coaching skills are really put to the test, where you keep your team mentally engaged. How physical do you get in your practices?
Yep.
Because you obviously don't want to get anybody hurt, but I think you also need to maintain that edge that got you there. I myself personally, and you and I were talking about this, and I've been thinking about it since we were talking about this before. I personally really would want to keep playing
Yeah.
through. I would not be a big fan of the bye.
No, I agree. But
Or
then
by having a long period between series.
But then again, also, like, if you have a guy who might be already a little banged up but willing to still play, and then he ends up getting injured, whereas you think he could have the bye and he could have gotten healthy and maybe back close to 100%. Like I just said, it's two sides to the coin, and I don't know if there's exactly a right answer, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I guess just that's my preference. I think it was interesting this, and we'll get into the NFL here in a second. But the Eagles were playing, and had they won, they would have kept the second seed in the NFC for the playoffs. They lost and dropped down. They were the second seed last year, and that was a huge benefit because, as you just mentioned, Detroit lost to the Commanders, and thus the home field advantage for the NFC Championship game went to Philly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, unless 1 and 2 seeds lose. But anyway, I don't know if I would have rested the entire team.
Yeah, I agree. That when you look not just for the first round, but down the week, it does play a big effect on your whole home field advantage scenario. And a team like Philadelphia, who sometimes they can be a little aggressive, but they do have one of the best fan bases and home field advantages in the league. Why you wouldn't want to utilize that?
Yep.
I feel like they probably should have played the starters to try and lock up that 2 seed, but
I agree. I agree, and that's the fun of our position. We get to be critical and whatnot, and our jobs aren't on the line.
Yeah.
That's the fun of it. Okay, let me ask you a quick question, Ben, real quick, wrapping up college football before we move on to the NFL too fast. Predictions for the 2 semifinal games.
Yep. I am gonna take. So as much as I like Miami's defense, it's hard to argue against them, but I just love the role that Ole Miss are on. So I'm gonna go Ole Miss against Miami, and then we have an Indiana-Oregon rematch. Like I said, I think Indiana's more well-rounded. I think Indiana beats Oregon a second time in a row.
Yeah, I will agree with you on the Indiana-Oregon game, but I will say that I'll take the other side, and I'll take Miami against Ole Miss just for the sake of yours and my argument or discussion while we're on this and when we're watching. Just for fun.
Sure. No, I like it.
And I can't believe I am taking Miami. My goodness.
Yeah.
Again, the 15-year-old is coming at me right now. My 15-year-old self is coming to beat me up.
Yeah. Before we hop over to the NFL, staying on college football, I think we have to just take a few minutes to talk about the transfer portal, because today is Tuesday, January 6th, so we are 4 days into it, and it has been chaotic so far. Especially so, 31.5% of all college football players are currently in the transfer portal, so a third essentially, which is insane to think about. You can't even begin to cover everyone. But, I mean, just listing off a couple notable ones here. So we have Drew Westermeyer, quarterback from North Texas, following his coach to Oklahoma State. We have Lincoln Keenholtz from Pierre, South Dakota. Shout out South Dakota, going from Ohio State to Louisville. I'm excited to see him in a starting role, being from South Dakota, and in the quarterback competition last year with Julian Sayin, I mean, he took Sayin to the very end. That was one of the last starting quarterbacks to get announced in all of college football. So I'm excited to see what he can do in a starting role, since Sayin went on to be a Heisman finalist.
Yep.
We have Cutter Boley from Kentucky going to Arizona State.
Yep.
I'll be honest, didn't watch a ton of Kentucky football, but I mean, I'll have to go watch some film on him, see how he is. Brendan Sorsby, quarterback of Cincinnati, going to Texas Tech, getting paid $5 million. which here's a crazy way to put that. He's making more next year at Texas Tech than Shadur's making his entire rookie contract.
That is wild.
And yeah, Shadur is a 4-year, $4.8 million deal. And Brendan Sorsby making $5 million in 1 year of college football.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say.
Okay. And then Josh Hoover from TCU is going to Indiana. So credit to Kurt Signetti. The way he has, since the NIL and transfer portal era have started, I feel like he's been the obvious winner from a coaching standpoint. The way he's navigated that and been able to bring guys in, because he really hasn't gotten recruits so far in the 2 years he's been there. It's been all just attacking the transfer portal, and his teams are winning.
Right. His first year, he brought a large, as we talked about last week, he brought a large portion of the James Madison team with him, which is what's happening. Ben, this is beyond my comprehension. I don't think this is what the the transfer portal was designed for. To just go out, to have a third of all college football players is what we're talking about here. But I would imagine it happens in all sports. Women's volleyball, men's basketball, women's basketball. I think it happens in all the sports, but we're talking college football. You have a third of all the players going into the portal, but there aren't necessarily all spots for those out there. So, so you have some of them go into the portal and they don't get picked up, then they're done.
Yeah.
They're done. I mean, that's sad in and of itself. I understand if your coach leaves and if you want to then... I saw something online that it was someone trying to put some parameters on what you can do with the transfer portal and things that some parameters on when you are or are not allowed to go into the portal. And so I don't know, it's so beyond what I am used to, and we've talked about this in past episodes, so we won't get into the details of it. But when you hear the words, like when you're watching SportsCenter or something at home, and you hear the words, so-and-so is in the transfer portal and is working out a deal with such and such school.
Yeah.
But those words are so foreign. Because
for college,
to my generation, because that just did that. Those words, you went to your school and then you were at your school. I have zero problem with college athletes being paid. I have no problem with that at all. I think that this portal thing of the moving around and whatnot is tough on the fan because, as we've talked about in the past, you as a fan, as a true fan of a team, you bond with the team. I mean, all of the players and you ride through their college career. And with it being so fluid now, it's just very different. And so I mean, I'm getting used to it, and it is what it is until they figure it out, which it sounds like there is the desire out there to figure it out. How they're going, who they're going to put where in terms of the people that manage how the thing works, we'll see. But I don't know. It's interesting.
I think the only answer is to make Saban commissioner, but that's just my opinion because they need something here because it's the Wild West right now. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and I totally get why you have a guy like him getting out of coaching. When someone is just a true football coach about the game and teaching young men the game and how to become, how to be better young men in the old school, what you used to teach, how to play football and all of that, and then how to be better men and all of that. It's
Yeah.
not that has nothing to do with where a person is deciding to go play football anymore.
Yeah. And one more just interesting portal one. So, Notre Dame's backup quarterback, Kenny Minchie, took their starter, CJ Carr, to the end of training camp in the quarterback competition. And this year in the portal, one of the most highly sought after backups for someone to bring in as a starter. And 2 days ago, he agreed to a deal with Nebraska, committed. And then last night, it gets reported that he's transferring to Kentucky instead. So
Yeah.
it'd be funny to know the behind the scenes. Like, my guess would be Kentucky came in last minute knowing they wouldn't get someone like a Sam Levitt. They had all this money prepared for Levitt and just tossed it at this guy and stole him away from Nebraska. But like we've mentioned before, we have connections to Nebraska. My sister goes there. That's tough for Nebraska. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are taken up now. They're losing Raiola. They have to go find someone.
Right.
I don't know who it's going to be.
Yeah. Unless it's an incoming freshman that we haven't heard about.
Yeah, because starting a true freshman went for them so well last time.
Right.
I know you
Right.
love Raiola. Yep.
Oh God. Well, all the other bowls are just about wrapped up. We had a couple good fun. We were talking about this the other day. The different mascots around the bowl sponsors. So
Yeah.
you had the Cheez-It Bowl, the Pop-Tart Bowl, and the Duke's Mayo Bowl. I mean, those are three that just come to the top of my head where part of those bowls has become, and they've done a great job marketing it, where, they dump, in the Cheez-Its and the Duke Mayo, when they dump the Gatorade container over the coach, it's full of Cheez-Its or it's full of mayo, which is
Yeah.
just god awful. I can't imagine that. And then the Pop Tarts Bowl, which was really cool because if you saw on the helmets, they had sprinkles in the lines down the center of the helmet, and then at the end, you have the two Pop Tarts on top of the little stand, and they sink down and they make steam and everything come up, and then out pops a big Pop Tart, and all the players and coaches grab parts of the Pop Tart, and the trophy is a toaster. I mean, that's kind of fun. That was cool. And up until the end of those games, I mean, they were good games too.
So some of them were, yeah, but I don't know. It's fun to watch a close football game, but like sometimes if it's your team, like me as an Arizona fan, they were playing in the Holiday Bowl. Well, I find out right before the game, our top three defenders were sitting out of the bowl game, and that showed SMU was moving
Right.
the ball all over us. And I'm like,
Yes.
well, this game doesn't matter anyways. So I turned it off. I went and watched basketball.
Right.
It was
Right.
dumb. So
Yep.
I don't know. It's what we talked about earlier, and we were afraid of happening. It used to just be top NFL prospects would sit at bowl games. Now we have 31.5% of players in the transfer portal. You have way more guys sitting out bowl games now. So you have backups you've never heard of in there. So if you're a true fan of a team, it's just kind of frustrating to watch.
You bring up a great point. It is truly, and there are so many bowl games.
Now looking at the NFL picture, just coming off of Week 18, a lot of important seeding things. So first off, I just want to say as a Panthers fan, thank you to the Atlanta Falcons. After the Panthers lost to the Buccaneers, it was up to the Falcons to beat the Saints to send the Panthers to the playoffs. And it was a close game, but the Falcons did get it done. Seahawks, yes.
One thing. How about though? So, the Falcons had a pick there at the last part of the game, and it's like, oh, sealed up. I even texted you and said, congratulations. They punt or whatever it was, or I don't remember if they kicked a field goal or whatever. And the Saints get the ball back and drop in one of the top that has to be a top 5 touchdown catch for the Saints. He's got one arm stuck behind,
Yeah.
and the flag gets thrown, and he still catches the ball in the cradle, over the shoulder, in the back corner of the end zone.
Yeah,
And
I couldn't believe that.
And then the Falcons ended up winning by 2.
Yeah. No, that was crazy. So Seahawks and Niners played for the 1 seed. Seahawks won that game. And then with the Rams blowing out the Cardinals, they get the 5 seed. So the Niners essentially had a chance at the 1 seed at the beginning of the day and ended up as the 6 seed. So that is tough for the Niners.
That's tough. And that's, I mean, essentially 5 and 6. 5 seed, 6 seed. You have an away wild card game, so it was, as we said last week, it was the Vikings Lions all over again last year in the NFC.
Yeah, and I mean, also too, you just got to look at the Rams beating you. I mean, Niners have to play the Eagles first round, and Rams play the Panthers. Even as a Panthers fan, holy cow, I'd much rather play the Panthers than the Eagles in the first round. Yeah,
for sure. I hope I hope the Panther fans show out. And I thought it was really cool how Sean Payton, started talking about the fans in the days leading up to the Broncos home game, which they needed to win. All they had to do was win, and they had the 1 seed.
Yeah.
So it was an important game. Because then if they lost, if the Patriots won, they would be the 1 seed. If Broncos and Patriots lose and the Jags won, the Jags would have been the number 1 seed. And the Jags played earlier in the day and absolutely crushed whoever they played, Tennessee. And so the Broncos needed to win. And he called out the fans. He did say one funny thing where he said, I don't want to see any shell games on the scoreboard. I don't want you just pumping up the crowd. That was to the scoreboard operator. Keep the crowd going. And so I'm hoping, back to my original statement, I'm hoping the Panther fans just are crazy.
I know.
Crazy.
What scares me, though, is the fact that we did beat the Rams earlier this season, so the Rams have that extra little bit of motivation. And from a talent standpoint, the Rams are a more talented team than the Panthers. I'm not even going to try and argue that point. So that talented of a team with that extra bit of motivation, I'm happy the Panthers made the playoffs. It's the first time in 8 years, first time in 10 years they've won the division, but I am a little nervous for this first round, but hoping for the best.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you.
A lot of coaching moves here. So the Falcons clean house, fire Raheem Morris, fire their GM, fired their CEO as well. So just getting rid of everyone.
Yep.
Which I kind of get it. I don't think they've made the playoffs in all 4 of Raheem Morris's 4 years, and they've had a little bit of quarterback issues, but other than that, they are a talented team.
Well, they are, and they had a decent run there at the end of the season.
No, they got right into it. They were right there around 8 wins with the Buccaneers and Panthers, but yeah, just a couple rough games. Can't quite get this quarterback thing figured out between Kirk and Penix.
Yep.
Pete Carroll fired by the Raiders, 1 and done for him, and that's 3 one-and-dones in a row now for the Raiders between Josh McDaniels, Antonio Pierce, and Pete Carroll. So this next guy will be their 4th coach in 4 years. That's brutal.
For what he did to USC, I could care less.
Yeah.
I'm not even, and that's a college football fan, not a USC fan.
Yeah.
That guy should be in jail. Leave it in total shambles, and then you take off for the NFL. Brutal.
Yep. Cardinals fired Jonathan Gannon, which I did not know this until you and I heard this after his firing. The Cardinals ended the year with 9 straight losses.
Yeah.
I knew they weren't great, but I didn't realize it was that bad because when Jacoby Brissett came in, he himself actually was playing pretty well. and he had a great connection with Trey McBride, but they were just not winning games.
Yeah.
And then the last one here, Stefanski fired by the Browns, which I've heard, though, he's already being brought in for about 3 different head coaching interviews, so he'll
Yeah.
find a job quick.
And then you have the 2 midseason firings,
Yeah,
Dable in New York, and then
Callahan in Tennessee.
yes,
Yeah. Which, yeah, that's one of the ones he's being brought in for, but I don't know, bringing him in to try and mentor a young quarterback, that didn't exactly go great in Cleveland, so.
well, and that's what Rex Ryan was saying on NFL Countdown the other day, because you had Schefter sitting there saying, he's going to be fired most likely,
Yeah.
and he's going to be a hot commodity. And it may not have been Rex Ryan, may have been somebody else, I can't remember, and it might have been on Monday morning, I forget, whatever, on Get Up. But one of them, on the desk, was saying, "Why? I mean, what? I mean, he's been there for 6 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 years. He's had a number of quarterbacks that he's had the opportunity to develop.
Yeah. I mean, Baker, Deshaun was a veteran, but still could have, he was in his 20s. You
Yeah,
have both the rookies this year. They had Pickett there for a little bit. Flacco's obviously a veteran, so not that one. But yeah,
right.
and they've had probably, if you look at defenses of teams over the past 5 years, their defense is probably a top 3 defense within the last 5 years and been consistently good. But
Yeah,
then again, you have one of the worst offenses, and he hasn't been able to figure it out. So
right.
I I love that firing for them. And the way he messed with this whole quarterback situation this year was painful to
Yeah,
watch.
yeah, that was brutal. That didn't do him any favors. And you had some individual things happen this week that were pretty cool. You had Myles Garrett break the single season sack record.
Which, did you see his new Jordan ad?
No.
So he signed with Jordan, and it wasn't announced till after. And the very first advertisement poster they made for him was a picture of him, and it said 23 sacks, no coincidence. It was pretty cool. I'll be honest. That's awesome.
That is pretty
Yeah.
awesome. That's so great.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I mean, I'll tell you what, Jordan slash Nike. I mean, they've got the right marketing people. I'll never forget in '97, 6 or 7, late 6 or 7, when Tiger Woods went pro after the USAM, and or yeah, the USAM, and he sits down at the press conference table and goes, "Well, hello, I guess hello world," and then that was their whole marketing scheme and first set of commercials. Hello world, and anyway, they just know how to do it right.
Nike and Jordan are good. Yeah, they do
Yeah,
it well.
yeah,
Jets finished the season with 0 interceptions, first time ever.
brutal.
The stuff I've been seeing on Instagram with that is pretty funny. Like, just when you thought over the last 15 years the Jets couldn't get worse, here we are setting new records. Stuff
Brutal.
like that.
So brutal. You had one thing I want to touch on, and it was a game that we didn't hit on yet, but it was the AFC North, the game for the division winner, AFC North division, between the Steelers and the Ravens, Sunday night game. And as you and I were talking about during the game, the first half was kind of a snooze fest. It was a lot of punt and field position type stuff. I'm going to be honest, old man, I went to bed and woke up to find out the fourth quarter was probably one of the most exciting fourth quarters of the season. And it comes down to a final kick from the Ravens, who happened to be a Arizona Wildcat.
He was in my grade, and a couple of my friends had classes with him and knew him.
Yeah,
Tyler Loop.
Yeah, and hadn't missed a field goal all season inside of 50 yards, and what was it, a 44-yarder or whatever. He's already kicked a couple throughout the game. and extra points and whatnot, and misses it wide right. I have to tell you, Ben, watching kickers today and that sort of type of position where it's just such a singular position. As a parent now, I watch stuff differently than I used to when I was, say, your age, all the way up until, however many years ago. Watching
Yeah,
it now, I watch it as a parent.
that's
And,
funny.
oh my God, it just breaks my heart.
Especially as a rookie.
Oh,
And you've had a great year, but then you get put in this position to it's up to you to send your team to the playoffs. That's
it's
brutal.
it's so gut wrenching. But anyway, so that was a great game. Great game. So,
Raiders are officially on the clock now for the number one overall pick.
yeah, that'll
I
be interesting.
think, well, I think that one's kind of locked in with Mendoza, but
Yeah,
we'll see here.
but like they were talking about on Get Up the other day, I mean, they have way bigger problems than just the quarterback position. So,
No, but you have to address that. There's no way you don't take Mendoza.
oh,
Yeah,
100%,
but no,
100%.
and you're right. That's not going to fix their issues, but you have to do that. Now,
Hopefully, they bring in a good coach
yeah,
that is able to keep him. I mean, it's going to be a tough season, especially as a rookie quarterback. Whether they take him or Moore, if Moore comes out from Oregon,
yeah,
to keep him, you know, without just getting totally gun shy and worried about running for his life.
yeah. Now, what I've seen that's interesting is if Dante Moore's agents call the Raiders and say, "Is Dante Moore going number one?" Let's say they say no, like we're taking Mendoza. So then the Jets have the second overall pick. And Todd McShay's saying no one wants to play for the Jets. Dante Moore goes back to Oregon. That would be pretty crazy.
That would be crazy and
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is, though, when he comes out next year, I sure bet the Jets are going to be picking top five again, unless they pull
For
off
sure.
some sort of free agency miracle.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I wanted to touch on for football. So Caleb Williams going into this Week 18 game needed 270 passing yards to become the first Bears quarterback ever with 4,000 passing yards. He fell 58 yards short.
That's so brutal.
The Bears
That's
are
so
one of
brutal.
the oldest teams and successful teams ever, and the fact that they haven't had a 4,000-yard passer is just amazing.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Yeah. I know. It's just crazy. I mean, to be 58 yards short.
Yeah.
Oh,
A little basketball here. So, touching
yeah.
on college basketball. So, once again, going back to Nebraska, which we're familiar with, having a Cinderella season right now. The 13th in the country when they beat number 9 Michigan State. Fans stormed the court. Tom Izzo said he totally gets it, understands it, no issue with it. And it was actually the Nebraska players that are against their own fans storming the court. They're like, we've shown we need to be here. We're playing at home. This shouldn't be a surprising win. We don't need you guys storming the court.
Right.
I just thought it was interesting because you think something like that would be flipped, but I do love the confidence out of the Nebraska players. Saying we should be here. This is our thing. Yeah,
And they're such a lunch pail, such a lunch pail team. I mean, they're just scrappy and just get it done. I mean,
a lot of white guys.
yeah, it's fun to watch. I think it's awesome that Izzo came out and said that, because Izzo sometimes can come across as like a curmudgeon.
Yep.
He's old school, been around a long, long, long time, and to come out and say that, I thought was super duper cool.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah,
And then he also did call out the NCAA for the NBA drafted players thing with
bravo,
James Najee,
bravo.
31st drafted overall player in 2023, made his debut for Baylor the other day, 5 points, 4 rebounds. Yeah, he made his debut. There's nothing else we need to add from what we said last week about it. I just thought
Yep.
it was interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think any of the other guys we talked about last week have officially signed yet and made their debuts. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Yep.
Moving over to the NBA now. So to follow up what we talked about last week with Trey Young, Shams just reported yesterday that Trey Young's agents are going to work with the Hawks to find a trade partner.
You
So
called that.
I yeah, we kind of hit the nail on the head with that there cuz I mean, like you said, from a Trey Young's whether it's ego or just saving face or whatever, they're not going to bring him off the bench.
Yeah.
So
Nope.
it had to be a trade.
And for that young man, I hope it turns out okay.
Yeah.
I hope he goes to a team and is able to blend right in and find a spot and, kind of like, Donovan Mitchell's spot in Cleveland, something like that where it's kind of a rebirth of, you know, um, carrying a team. I hope it works.
Yeah. I'm just when I've been thinking about NBA teams, like, all right, who needs a point guard that's can score the ball, but primarily a facilitator? I mean, every year he's been in the league, he's been top 5 in assists. So like a floor general, but can score.
Yep.
What playoff team needs that and also has the assets it's going to take to get Trae Young? And I'll be
Yep.
honest, I'm struggling to come up with teams that fit that bill.
That works for. Yeah.
The only team I've seen their name come up is the Wizards, but they're not in a position to win. They have a good young core that's developing. I'm not exactly sure why they would do that, but we'll see.
I wish we could still call them the Washington Bullets.
Yeah. Those jerseys, those are cool ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Get ready. Just get ready. Just a little
Yeah.
seed planted right there.
Uh-huh. Mavericks open to trading everyone except Cooper Flag and Kyrie. So,
Yep.
I mean, AD could be on the move, and the Hawks have come up for that one, but it also doesn't make sense for the Mavericks to trade for Trae Young. So whether that's a 3-team deal or that's an interesting one to watch.
Right. For sure.
And then our last little quick hitter here from a non-football or basketball thing, Brooks Koepka leaving Live Golf.
Yeah. He was an OG. He was one of the first guys to go over there with that. And
I was going to say, when it first started, I feel like him and Bryson were kind of picked as the faces of Live Golf. Don't you think?
Phil Mickelson was like the big name right away. And then kind of the dominoes below him.
Yeah.
You had, like you said, Bryson, Brooks, Dustin Johnson. Then you had the contingent of English European guys. You had Sergio. You had Lee Westwood, guys that were on their on their downward side of their career. But yeah, Ian Poulter. But Brooks was one of the anchors of that, and I'm sure got a sweetheart deal. We've never heard the for sure numbers on what any of these guys got. There's tons of information out there on what people have said that they got, but anyway, it's kind of interesting. It'll be interesting if he tries to go back to the PGA Tour. PGA Tour, within minutes of him announcing that he was leaving Live, put out a statement just about, it was the most random statement. It said, we respect Brooks as a golfer and this and that. And then there were a few lines just about how the PGA Tour has the best players in the world and so on and so forth. It was the most I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they were trying to get at, if they've actually been talking to Brooks or things like that.
Yeah.
Because right now, anybody that went over there still has, a penalty, for lack of a better term, in terms of needing to get back into the PGA Tour. Will the PGA Tour do like a week long. It's open if you want to come back for no penalty, something like that. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they bring if what happens to live
What
slash
is
the
the
PGA Tour.
penalty?
Uh, they were suspended from the tour
Yeah.
if they went,
Did they
and
give a time length?
well, it would be like a sort of suspension kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
So
If they were to, got it. If they were to come back, I see.
correct. Now they can go play DP World Tour
Oh,
spots.
that's pretty
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
He said, Brooks has always kind of been a maverick where he does it, he does stuff on his own terms, and he said that he did it because a family wanted more time with his family, which is interesting. That's what all these guys were saying when they went to live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was one of their big things, is that we're doing this, we're gonna have more time with our families, so on and so forth. Yet now he's leaving live.
Yeah.
I've never been a Live fan. I've watched a few of the broadcasts, and I've given it start to finish, and I haven't been able to quite get behind it. But I'm one of the few people out there that has watched it because their ratings are horrible.
Yeah.
So anyway, it looks like it's one of those things where it's way more fun to actually be there than to watch, because
I
they
would
make
agree with
everything
that.
a gigantic party.
I
And
know a couple people that went to an event in Tucson. I couldn't
right,
go that weekend, but they said it was actually a lot of fun. That it
yeah,
is
I
just
think
kind of a party. Yeah.
it's a gigantic party. I mean, they have a number 16 at the Waste Management, is known as the craziest hole in golf of the PGA Tour for the whole year. And that whole tournament actually is. I think every week that Live has a tournament, it's like that.
Yeah.
So, anyway, there's not much else to be said there. We'll get into golf in a little bit. It's kind of sad. Side note: we're supposed to be having the the Century Tournament of Champions. We talked about that last week,
Yep.
where the plantation course in Maui didn't get any water for 9 months, and the course essentially died. And so this supposed to be the opening week of the PGA Tour season is actually next week with the Sony Open.
Gotcha. Yes. No, it'll be exciting as golf starts to ramp up. All
Yeah.
right. And then last segment here, we have our this or that for this week. So our topic is the top 3 sporting events you want to attend.
That you want to attend.
Yeah.
And
You
and
can have gone to it before and you'd love to attend it again. So
perfect.
yeah.
Well, I'll say this, Ben. The Masters, I've been lucky enough to be there before, and that would be my first choice
Okay.
to go back to. You're asking for top 3. Let me tell you what I'm thinking. So, I know Super Bowl is up there, and it's something that you need to see at least once in your life, or something to that effect. I
Yeah.
have to tell you that one thing for me is the energy from a home crowd. Like when you and I went to the Auburn Alabama game back, in 19,
Yeah.
and it was at Auburn, and Alabama hit the upright, and the place just went crazy. It's so much fun to have the energy of a home team.
Yeah.
I think going to a conference championship game at someone's home, and then hopefully having the home team win,
Yeah.
would be really fun over a Super Bowl, frankly. All the pageantry of a Super Bowl would be really, really cool. So I'm not, but I'll be honest, I'm going to put a Super Bowl as honorable mention, and
Okay.
I'm going to put a conference championship game as actually a number 2. Now, my number 3 spot is really, really hard. Whether it's a Final Four, you and I have been to a Final Four. It's a really interesting feel inside of a football stadium for a basketball game, and that's kind of tough. I think a national championship football game, college football game, would be really, really fun.
Yep.
Side note: we didn't really talk about the Montana State
Yeah.
or Illinois State game for the FCS championship last night, which came down to a 4th down play in overtime. Looked absolutely insane.
It was loud there, yeah.
It was loud and would be really cool. And to me, that's the most fun, is the energy that you get off of whatever event you're at.
For sure, yeah.
Indy 500 would be super cool to go to again.
Yeah.
I think so. But I think what I'm going to go with is I'm going to go with a national championship football game.
Nice. That's a good choice. Um, for me, my number one is a game seven specifically of an NBA Finals. Because just, I remember watching the 2016 game seven when the Cavs were coming back from 3-1. And just the energy in that Warriors arena, you have everything on the line. Now, I know that one's a little extra special because you have like LeBron, excuse me, LeBron and Steph in there. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of this one's for all the marbles type thing. And basketball being my favorite sport, that's my number one. Next up at number two, I am going to put the Super Bowl up there. I totally get what you're saying, but I mean, also, it is the Super Bowl. Like, this is it right here. So I'm going to go with that. And then number three, I'm going to go with the Masters just because I've never been to the Masters. And hearing everything you say about it has made me really want to go. So
Yeah.
that has to be my top three.
I love it. I mean, the fun thing about that one is there's nothing wrong with any of them.
Oh, no, yeah, you can't even really argue because there's so many good options and they all seem super special in their own way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know people would put like the Kentucky Derby on there and that sort of thing, and I'm sure that that's totally awesome. Yeah, like you said, each one is special in its own way. Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. Yep, we have a lot more football coming up. NFL playoffs getting started. Semifinals game. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, we're going to have a ton to cover next week when you've got Thursday and Friday are the two semifinal college football games, and then you've got Saturday, Sunday, and Monday night NFL wildcard games.
Yeah.
Awesome
Crazy
weekend.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Make sure to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok to Gen 1 Mike
Smash
Pod.
that like button.
Yeah. All right. See you, Pat.
Love you, bud.
Love you.
Talk to you later.